family, please step up to the podium. Hearing none, we're on to board member comments. Anyone? Any board member has a comment, please raise your hand.
Thank you to the building committee for all the work that I see for supervising in our short conference.
We are on to discussion and possible action. Item A. Sure, yeah, it's the campus improvement. 2019 campus improvements. So I will turn that over maybe to Mr. Todd Johnson, the adjournment of the building committee.
And say our first, two first meetings from the building committee, when the chair was me, and then we also did Melissa's. Committee is recommended from the board to pay, and then any other general updates on the construction.
So the committee has reviewed and recommended for approval 7 invoices that have been received to date. Those comprise one group of prior payments previously made from the Capital Reserve Fund, which was to pay for pre-construction engineering services. So that is in the total amount of $95,302.50. So I would recommend that moving that item separately is probably a good idea. If you want the other 6.
Okay, so does someone want to make a motion?
So move that where it is sort of not to transfer money to capital.
Motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
For any discussion related to transfer, in essence, reimbursing the capital reserve for costs that were incurred associated with the project prior to funding. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Unanimous.
In addition, there were 6 separate invoices that I'll list. Recommend approval of all. The building committee has recommended all of these for approval by the board. The first is an invoice from Gale for their engineering services during the construction phase. That's for invoice 1905250, the amount of $5,060.75. Second is also for Gale for engineering services during the construction phase for invoice 196237 in the amount of $14,138.90. The next one is an invoice for bond counsel services for the purpose of raising the bond approval and closing process as payable to Home County, and an invoice dated from a letter of July 15, 2019, with an amount of $30,000. Next is an invoice to Standard & Poor's, the rating agency, invoice number 1137285 in the amount of $9,500. And Phoenix Advisors is the next one, who are the financial support for the bonding process, and a letter dated July 3rd, 2019, in the amount of $17,750. And finally, an invoice to construction and signage on the Barlow campus, invoice number 37360 in the amount of $362.50.
Is there a motion?
I have one question. That invoice that you just referenced, Scott, can you recapitulate what exactly that's for?
Can we should probably just do the motion and
Sure.
and then second, and then we'll do that discussion.
So I'll
So Todd is
that whole block is
moved
question.
I don't think.
It's for, I'll select a variety of items here. It's a paragraph. Issuance of the general obligation bonds, including documentation review of revisions to preliminary official statement and the official statement, notice of sale in a publication for bond buyer, preparation, review, and revision of specimen bonds, continuing disclosure of tax regulatory rules, post-issuance tax compliance procedures, IRS money to create the other documents, issuance of tax exempt legal opinions, analysis of tax fees, filing with the depository trust corporation, blank letter representations, notable documents, correspondence with town interest, including paying agents, certifying agents, and closing corresponding matters, including preparation of will.
They believe in a particular hourly rate.
It was addressed to me initially when I was discussing this for purposes of budgeting that it would be in the amount of $30,000. The bill that was sent was for a total of $32,000 with the excess of both $40,000.
So they didn't bill per hour, they just billed in a flat rate for the work that was done.
The agreement that we had in place was flat rate for different types of services that were like a bond or
And do you know what the highest of those hourly rates were right now? And do you know how many hours were performed? All of them.
Any of the person they were here, she was here, it was the one person, quite a bit of time. We did, at the beginning of this process, it was highly complex. I did a roundtable with her and as well as the staff, so we could walk through each of the steps of this from what it was. To make sure that all public notices and referendums were in a timely manner.
So this billing on, right, and it's asked for direct money.
Absolutely. We will probably all.
Basically had a budget kind of not to exceed kind of number, or,
Yeah.
and maybe not firmly not to exceed, but
It was
basically a
described.
number as to what the services would cost for that whole process. And it seems like they exceeded it a little, at least on paper, but did hold true to the budget number that they gave us. And we did vet the bond council firms, was it 2 years ago when we selected and, right?
The one where,
Yes, yes.
the one where somebody,
Correct. I was going to say, we did vet the bond counsel firms, and we selected one, and then what happened was our advisor that we had worked with, that Scott had developed a working relationship with, did move, and we opted to stay with that advisor. But I guess what I'm saying, we didn't just call somebody out of the blue. This was a number that we were expecting. Okay, so we have a motion for these, is it 7 items?
6.
6 items, sorry.
do we happen to have a total for that? It's just, it doesn't matter, it's just information. It's dollar.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, there's 6, but.
No, I know, I was gonna add them quickly for you. but, paid, recording secretary, to be as specific as he can with the motion for approval to include the
There's-
companies and the dollar amounts just for...
You will have to pry this sheet of paper out of my
No,
cold
I'm
fingers.
just saying,
Making
there's a
notes.
lot of them, and it's
Understood.
difficult.
I understand. Yes, I do.
Thank you very much.
I wonder if it's a setting.
We're having that.
By the way, the,
Check over here.
Cheating off my neighbor. $80,812.15. $812.15. That's the total of the 6 items not part of the
I
capital.
just thought,
right.
in fact, in the interest of being informative,
Add that
I
to
would,
the
I would
end,
put the
yeah.
total.
That would be great.
Rather than making someone like we just made Scott,
Right,
add them all up.
Well, then all those people won't call Scott too.
That's right.
absolutely. So we didn't vote, right? So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, it is unanimous. Yes, sir.
That's how I did it.
I've added it all.
Oh,
So
did you?
we had a good cross.
Yeah.
Yes, but there's only one other agenda item, and we should be brief, so I
Okay.
figured. Okay, so we're on to item...
Just one last
Sorry.
update on this. I did pass, I passed around to you the rating report from Standard & Poor's.
Okay.
This is a part of the bonding process. We're rated AAA, which is the highest rating that you can have, which is what we have been rated in the past. Town of Easton, Town of Reading are a part of this process as well because they're the underlying funding municipal entities, so they are a part of the entire process of issuing the bond. They're also rated AAA as well. But the report that you have is a nice summary of all that. It's a brief read.
And so far, all the projects have started, no issues.
Everything's on schedule.
Everything's on schedule.
Yes, everything is on schedule at this point, and
We urge and thank the public for staying out of the construction areas, as it is increasingly complex and it covers most of the campus.
appreciate their
Yeah.
patience while we fix our campus. So, but your dentist will be sad in September because your fillings will stay in their mouth now, and rather than jumbling when you go down Barlow. Okay, any further information on the campus improvement project? Okay,
Should
we
just
are,
say that the bond was closed, so settled as well.
Bond was closed and
Public
settled,
record.
Yeah.
all monies received from the proceeds of the bond.
and we could put the rate in there? People might want to hear what,
Yep, the bond was sold at an interest rate of 2.3%.
0.3%.
So it's closed now, and funds received.
Funds have been received, yes,
So they're paid.
in the bank, so we can now begin the payment cycle.
And then following up on Maureen, who thanked the building committee, I think we should thank Mr. Rice for his diligence and hard work
Absolutely.
on this project, because,
And a spreadsheet that even I can understand.
Yes.
no, but I mean, trying to close out the end of the year for 3 different districts and then taking your lunch and eating your sandwich as you drive down Barlow Drive, checking on the project is...
Stop and do the Heimlich on yourself if you're eating.
Until it's repaid, we recommend tuna salad.
Something soft.
So, thank you. Okay, we are on to item B, which is Interscholastic Sports Insurance. I don't know if, Scott, did you want to detail the...
Yeah, I can tee it up.
And then we'll turn it over to Mike.
Yeah, and this arose as a conversation that I began to have with Mike Santangeli. The topic is insurance that we purchase. More broadly than just scholastic sports, it is, in fact, student accident insurance. So it can be for any school-sponsored activity, be it a field trip, gym class, after-school activities that are school-sponsored and school-supervised. The purpose of it is to pay for medical costs in excess of the parent and student's primary coverage. So if there are medical expenses in excess of that, the family can work with the school to submit a claim in order to get that additional cost covered. The way the policy is, which has been in effect for some years, a long time, is that it would pay 100% of usual and customary expenses with certain limitations and exclusions. The reason I brought it up is when we got this year's renewal, and it renews on an annual cycle August 1st. So I get that information about 30 days before August 1st. And when I received this year's renewal, we had budgeted for this $30,000, and the premium came in at $35,485, so $54.85 above. So that was a concern that caught my eye, but there's a bit of history to this as well. Frankly, from a budget standpoint, we've been chasing this premium for a couple of years. The reason for that is this premium has doubled since the 16-17 year. It was about $17K and change in 16-17, so in a period of 4 years, or going into our fourth year, it's doubled, and it's up over 30% from last year. That caused me to start to dig into it. We have an insurance advisor that advises me on all the various insurance items we have for the district, so I worked with him. We examined a number of things. We examined how many bids had been received. We had received quotes, I should say. There were 7 total firms that were requested to provide a quote. 2 of them declined to write coverage for this at all. The other 4 were higher than this one, so this is the best out of 7 that we got. We then went and looked into claims history at a claimant level. The information's anonymized, but I can see dollars by claimant over the last 4-year period, and we were anticipating seeing some sort of trend or some sort of information that could give us more insight into why. And the bottom line numbers for each of the years, I guess, ultimately tell us a story, but it's a story we can't do much about. It says 4 years ago, we paid out $28,000 in claims, and in that year, we paid less than $17,000 in premium. So that was not a good year for the insurance. They paid out. Yeah, sorry. They paid out our in excess, well in excess of our premium. The following year, our rate increased. Insurance company only paid out about $10K. In the 17-18 year, our premium had gone to about $25K, but the insurance company paid out $38,000. So we had a $28,000 year, a $10,000 year, a $38,000 year, and then this year that just ended was under $10K. So there's no clear trend, there's no clear thing that would tell us, look here, look there, it's this, it's that, what kind of tweaks and adjustments can we make? But based on this, I engaged Mike then really to have the conversation about what are our options, what can we do? And one piece of data that I had gotten from the insurance company was, because one of the things I asked them was, what are our options? And the only option that they really offered that made any financial sense was, instead of covering 100% of expenses in excess of the parent primary coverage, we cover 80% of their expenses. That would lower the premium for us to below our $30,000 budget, which would be great. But this is more than just a financial conversation, and that's why I engaged Mike. So as Mike and I spoke about it, I'll pass these around. You can take one and pass them along. Mike did a survey of various districts to see what do they do. What type of coverage do they offer their students, so that we had a point of reference. So,
Sorry, I'll do it again. Make it get better.
Mike, I'll turn it to you.
Yep, no problem. So what I did after talking to Scott and just discussing the different ideas that we're coming with and options, I reached out to our league. So there's 14 schools in our league, right? So the Southwest Conference. And I just sent out an email just asking 2 questions. 1, do they offer supplemental insurance? 2, at what percentage? And so, as you can see here, what I gave you, Out of the 14 schools, 2 didn't respond. Only 1 of the 12 remaining do not offer. Everybody else offers and at 100%. So that, the reason why I did the league is because those schools all vary. We have some Durg A there, there's some Durg B, and then further down the line as we go. So, and it was just interesting to see how many, I for sure thought there'd be more schools that didn't offer, but the vast majority does. So, that, I don't know.
Maureen,
Just have
you
a couple of questions.
Yeah.
So to the best of your knowledge, and I understand that there's some lack of transparency on these things for good reason, the claims are mostly made by kids who participate in sports and somehow get injured.
Without a doubt.
Okay.
So what happens, the process is, I'll just explain. So if a student athlete gets hurt during a game or practice, and they have an injury that holds them out for a period of time, we are charged with giving them a sheet with the date, a report on the injury and what our athletic trainer dealt with, and it's given to the parent. And then the parents can choose to submit it, or they can choose not to. Most,
Is it the whole claim to this policy, or do they have to, by virtue of the policy, exhaust their own primary insurance?
Yes. I've done this
Yes.
recently.
Okay. Just trying to-
But yeah, it basically, it covers your, 80, if you have 20% that, isn't covered until you make your deductible, kind of,
So
all
there's-
those
yeah,
bills,
that's
all those
so it's
bills
not
that
just
come
an
in
excess.
after.
it's what's not covered by your insurance.
What's not covered,
Co-insurance and everything.
Yes,
And it's covered without regard to anyone's fault, it's just an excess claim policy.
correct.
And you can make claims under this policy because under the sports, if for some reason somebody slipped and fell out in the middle of the hallway.
Correct.
If it's part of a school
Function.
function, yes.
Or they happen to be on school grounds for some other reason.
And it has to be school-sponsored.
But it's on
and
school grounds,
supervised.
something that's scheduled.
right.
So they can't just come onto the grounds and get supplemental insurance,
They're walking down the hallway and they're fixing the hallways outside and they're slippery and they fall. They could do that. Yeah.
So then I have a couple
Go for that.
follow-ups as well. So this pays whether in excess or additional costs after the primary.
Correct.
I know it may be rare, but what would happen if a student did not have primary insurance? Would this cover any, all? It would,
All probably.
it would cover all.
Then it
Up to
becomes
usual and
primary.
customary.
I'm guessing.
Well,
Then it becomes primary. There's no, if the student doesn't have insurance.
It covers it even if there's no insurance, so,
Right.
and it would pay the usual and customary amount, subject to their, whatever their, that insurance company who handles this gets involved in order to manage the claim.
Is there a
Right.
cap on any claim? I forgot that.
no, it's okay.
Didn't look like it.
I am not 100% sure of that.
So the reason I ask it that way is because when we talk about, I know there's one school that doesn't offer it, but for $30,000, to me, it seems like the exposure to the district is huge, that we could get sued if somebody got hurt, or, to cover those costs. And,
Yeah, I wouldn't take the 20% or the 80% risk.
Yeah.
80% risk,
Well,
It doesn't
and
seem-
also, ethically, like, I don't want to be in a position where some kid is, breaks an ankle and their parents are then on the hook for several $100s that they don't have because of it being an accident that could have happened to any kid, and I just,
And the 2 zeros here are both private schools, right?
well, and those were
Right.
no responses.
But there was no
Those are no
responses,
responses, no-
but there's a private school there that does have 100% coverage.
I'm sorry. I don't think, I think that the $5,000 premium is just the price, that increase is just the price of it.
yeah, well,
Given the
especially,
claims history. I think-
Exactly.
I think we're good. to
It's
do
up,
that.
it's
Exactly.
up and
I
down,
was
like
gonna
Scott was
say,
saying.
we're-
Some years it's really high,
Ahead
some
of the
years
game.
really
Yep.
low.
Thank you.
But thank you both for your,
Thank you.
getting all this
Sorry, go
background
back where you did
information.
rapid fire questions.
Do we-
No,
Keeps me awake.
it's important. So,
Do we know where we,
Not specifically, no.
Okay, so, being that this is less than $10,000, the board does not need to make a motion to authorize you to make the transfer to be able to cover this. But I think it's great that you brought it to us and that the board was able to discuss it. And I don't, we could, go into this further, but it seems like everybody is in agreement that this is 100% the right thing to do.
Yep.
And so, again, I thank you for bringing it to us, but I think that we're all in favor of just maintaining the policy and.
That's the reason I
saying that-
decided to bring it
yeah.
forward. I knew I could transfer to cover, but given the history and the way it had been going, I thought it was worth the conversation to make sure that it continued to make sense. But I think actually, and then it was as a result of my discussion about getting this background information, this was really, really helpful, and this was not visibility that I had, really, as to what was happening in other districts.
The higher bid, you said the other four were significantly higher. Is there kind of a range just to get for
Yeah.
public record of?
Yeah, so we're at a little over 35,000. The highest one I see here is 46,000 for CAT only, and I don't even know what that means. But it's a limitation of some sort, so it was 11K higher for a limitation to what we had. Okay,
All right, well, thank you, Mike, and thank you, Scott. Okay, we are on to item 6, which is public comment. If there's any member of the public that would like to make a comment, please step up to the podium, wave to your family on Channel 78.
Keeps plugging it.
Oh, and please state your name and address, please, for the.
Hi, I'm Danielle Garavito, 51 Ledgewood Road, Reading. I apologize for the visitors with me. The reason I'm here tonight is because I have a friend who's moving to Florida at the end of the week and wants to donate photography equipment to the Joel Barlow School. It's summertime, so I called the school today, and the secretary said I will let the chairman know via email. Then I found out from...
Oh,
I found out from another person that it has to be approved by the board. So all I brought tonight is 2 copies of the pictures and the items that he's looking to get rid of. He is a professional photographer who lives down in Fairfield. His grandson is here in Reading, and he just doesn't want to ship it down to Florida with him because he's retiring. That's it.
Okay.
It's great equipment, and it's brand new.
Okay, thank you. So, we're on to board member comment, and I will start out and say that, we don't have it as an agenda item, so we can't have a back and forth dialogue. But what I would say to you is this: the process very much is that the board would need to, approve accepting the donations. However, you can contact the school, you can bring the equipment to the school. We have staff that will, take all those things in and figure all that out, and then they will come to the board and ask for approval for the donation. So the board doesn't have to approve in advance of your donation to the school just before we formally accept it. So
It's more of a formality.
it really is, and a way to thank the donor, and
Is
so.
it an opportunity?
Yes, and we appreciate that, and we don't want,
Monster.
come here, I'm going to show you something. Come here. Go look at the phone. Come here.
but, yeah, yeah, please, don't have him take it to Florida if he doesn't want to. Bring it to the school. I'm sure there should be somebody here at the school at all times, somebody that will accept it. And if he's not going to be if he's going to be in Florida right away, that he won't hear this. As an individual board member, thank you very much for considering and donating to our school. We really appreciate it. But yes, absolutely, bring it to the school. We'd be happy to have it.
Copies of what it actually is. if you can pass it along to the school.
I will
I'll
make
give them a
sure-
packet as well, somebody's not showing up with stuff, at least they understand what they're getting.
Yes, we will make sure. And thank you very much for coming. And we love having the little visitors. It's great.
Bless you.
And they can go home and watch themselves on YouTube.
On YouTube.
I promise to meet.
Because that's how I like you.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you. Okay, I jumped first on board member comment. Is there any further board member comment?
The only,
Tom?
before Danielle, before you leave, also if you could, as you leave it, if there, the donor wanted to leave his name so we could thank him and make an announcement of it, or if it's anonymous, but we'd like to thank him as when we officially accept
Yeah,
it.
your phone number is on.
Thank you for bringing
That
it.
would be great. Further board member comments? Okay, hearing none. Does anyone want to make the motion that they wanted to make when they walked into the
Why would you say that?
To adjourn.
Todd and Green? All in favor?
8:05.
And we are adjourned. Thank you very much to everybody.
I didn't even want to hope. I thought it was like one of those decoy short